could benefit from that option.
The Honourable Member for Kings West.
I'm wondering, Madam Minister, however, in terms of dollar amounts, income levels, what will those be established at? I think that's what parents are concerned about. 1 year ago, when I visited most of the campuses in the province, this was one of the concerns raised by students, is that certainly by year 3 and 4, there was an increasing number that were using a line of credit for their education. And I would think that would be a goal to try to eliminate some of that. So what will be then the dollar amounts, income levels for parents and students in the province?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the member. It's my understanding that at this point in time, the cutoff is $85,000, and with this proposal that we have in our budget, the family income would be $105,000. So it's a significant increase in what that family would.
The Honourable Member for Kings West.
Thank you. That certainly is a significant increase, and I'm pleased to see this level, or moving towards that level. The graduate tax credit, of course, is one that our caucus has talked about for some time. And while we were certainly proposing a more significant amount, certainly a $1,000 non-refundable tax credit is a great first step. Wondering if this will be retroactive. Can a student who has graduated some time ago apply and be accepted for this credit?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Mr. Chairman, to the member, I would have to refer that to the Minister of Finance, but I do know that that $1,000 tax credit can be used during one of any 3 years, but I would not be prepared to answer the question with respect to retroactive.
The Honourable Member for Kings West.
I just have 1 minute left, and that probably answers a little bit of my next question, which was if a student leaves the province and he's away for 2 years and came back in that 3rd year, I was wondering if the credit would then apply for that in that 3rd year.
The Honourable Minister of Education.
It would be my understanding that if that situation did develop, that because it says within any one of the 3 years, that if he came back and was eligible in that 3rd year, it could apply.
Order. Time has expired for the member. I would now invite the Minister of Education to close the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to make a few closing remarks as a result of our discussions. I would like to thank the members here for their questions, and I commit to you that I will fulfill any of the promises that I have made, either to seek information, to lead a review, or to meet with you individually to follow up on some of your concerns. I would also like to thank my staff who've been here providing me with information and helping me address questions that information of which I do not have at my fingertips. Mr. Chairman, if passed, this budget would help the Department of Education accomplish a lot for our students, our teachers, our families, and our school communities. We are taking about $85 million more dollars in the education budget, and that brings it to a total of $1.37 billion. That is a significant contribution on the part of this government to help support students of all ages in our province. It is the second highest department budget of the provincial government, and it's a testimony to the importance that we put on education. There will be more money to help students succeed, to reduce class sizes, to add more supports and resources to our schools, and as well, we will initiate the new funding formula for school boards that would ensure that they have the funding they need in order to provide to deliver service to our children. The Learning for Life 2, which is the province's multi-year strategy, will continue. The International Baccalaureate program will be launched and expanded. As well, 27 high schools across the province will introduce the O2 program and will build on the successes enjoyed by boards with similar programs. Students, as a result of the coming healthy food policy and more physical activity in our schools, will now be healthier and now and later in life. There would be more funding to build and improve schools across Nova Scotia, and the review of the Education Act regulations related to school closures will go ahead this fall as planned and as announced. There will be new funding to improve the Nova Scotia Community College and to work with universities. There will be funding to provide more opportunities for more Nova Scotians to attend university and college. And there will be more funding for apprenticeships and adult learning. Our support for education is growing faster than the rate of inflation at a time when primary to grade 12 enrollment is declining by more than 2%. And our support for schools and public libraries will continue. In short, Mr. Chairman, there would be a sizable investment in our future as presented in this budget. I believe, Mr. Chairman, that Nova Scotia has an excellent education system from pre-primary to graduate. This is the result of the many dedicated people who work as teachers, counselors, administrators, bus drivers, the many people involved in our education system. And I want to thank them publicly for their efforts and to tell them that their commitment and their passion is appreciated. I would ask that the proposed budget for the Department of Education for public education and assistance to universities be passed. And be it resolved that the sum not exceeding $1,138,222,000 be granted to the Lieutenant Governor to defray expenses in respect of the Department of Education pursuant to the estimate. And be it resolved that a sum not exceeding $227,872,000,000 be granted to the Lieutenant Governor to defray expenses in respect of assistance to universities, Department of Education pursuant to the estimate. I so move.
The motion before the committee is shall Resolution E3 and E4 stand? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Motion is carried. Call on the Deputy Government House Leader.
Chair, at this time I'd like to call forth the estimates for the Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
You start. The Chair will now recognize the Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You call the estimates of the Transportation Public Works and Treasury Policy Board. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very pleased to be able to rise in the House today and report on the work and the estimates for the following portfolios. That would be Transportation Public Works, Treasury and Policy Board, Sydney Steel Corporation Act, including the tar ponds and Gaelic initiatives. I'll begin as Minister of Transportation and Public Works and address the subcommittee of the whole House as it considers my department's 06-07 estimates. I'll preface the numbers with an overview of our mission as it plays such a crucial role in building the foundations of our communities and routes to prosperity. Our mission is to construct, maintain, and manage provincial highways, buildings, and public infrastructure, to provide the hardware of our society, to provide built capital that supports sustainable economic growth and social well-being, to lay the route to prosperity for future generations. Committed to this mission are 2,000 dedicated public servants across the province who work for our department. They keep our communities going and growing by providing good public infrastructure. I'd like to thank the people who work for the department, both public and private sector workers, for doing a great job for all Nova Scotians. The staff with me here today, Mr. Chairman, on my left is Doug Stewart, who is the Chief Engineer for the Highways Program. On my right is the Director of Finance, Greg Penny, and in the gallery is the Deputy Minister, David Darrow, and Greg Lusk, who is Executive Director of Public Works, who was with him in the gallery. And Brian, I don't see Brian with us, but Brian Gallivan may be with us from time to time. And Dan Davis, who is Acting Director of Communications. Anybody else? Bruce Fitzner is up there as well. Like many places in North America, we face huge resource challenges in building, maintaining, and upgrading highways, roads, schools, hospitals, and public buildings. At the same time, we know we must invest in transportation and electronic links that meet globally accepted business standards. Those links will allow us to expand trade and business opportunities. Another challenge is managing public expectations. We live in a fast and brave new world, yet we are surrounded by declining infrastructure and rising costs. We have some of the oldest buildings and roadbeds in North America, and we manage 23,000 kilometers of road, and the average age of pavement is 21 years old, and the national average is 14 years old. We manage 4,000 bridges in the province. Department staff estimate that the province's road and bridge infrastructure deficit is more than $4 billion, and that is climbing. We all want safe and prosperous places to raise our families, yet we also want the province to live within its means. We're proud of our heritage, yet we must prepare for the future. And so this year's budget increases the province's investment in infrastructure. In total, $351 million will go to maintaining and improving Nova Scotia's highways, roads, and bridges. The Nova Scotia government will spend about $100 million more on roads than it collects in gas tax revenues. The 06-07 capital budget for transportation and public works is approximately $199 million. This includes $176 million for highways and more than $22 million for capital construction for buildings and other public works. The department's capital budget has quadrupled since 2000-2001. This has led to more twinned highways and better secondary roads across the province. During 06-07, the government has earmarked an additional $34 million in new capital spending for highways such as twinning Highway 103 to Tentallon, completing the Barrington portions of Highway 103, completing the Cox Heath portion of Highway 125, completing the Highway 118 Wright Avenue interchange, twinning Highway 101 west of Falmouth, and twinning Highway 104 east of New Glasgow. The amount of highway maintenance work carried out in our rural roads is also increasing during 06-07 due to a $2.5 million increase over last year's budget. This year's investment is $17.5 million. The road improvement money, known as RIM, will go to asphalt patching, ditching and graveling, shoulder repairs, guardrails, and bush cutting. This year's investment brings us closer to our commitment to increase the road improvement money to $20 million by 2007. These projects are largely tendered, leading to greater cost efficiencies for taxpayers and first-rate work for residents. The feedback from communities has been very positive. TPW is implementing a pavement management system during 06-07 to make better use of current funding levels for the capital repaving program. This is the 4th year of the 5-year Steel Truss Bridge program. Expenditures for 06-07 are estimated to be $13 million, largely to replace 8 bridges. Road safety is a two-way street, so to speak. It is a shared responsibility for those who build the roads and bridges and for those who use them. Our job in Transportation and Public Works is to provide a well-designed and maintained provincial highway system, safe routes for safe driving. My department will spend an additional $2.5 million in operational funding on provincial highway safety enhancement this year, including center and edge traffic line painting, upgrading and installing guardrails, brush cutting, and guide sign maintenance. To further improve safety, our department will paint center and edge traffic lines on more roads more frequently. Annual painting will now entail white edge lines on all provincial trunks and routes and center lines on all local roads. While all drivers use traffic lines as visual guides for safe travel, aging drivers find them of particular benefit, and the department is revising its line painting policy to paint traffic lines on more highways. Before, the department painted the trunk and route traffic lines every 2nd year, and in most cases, provincial route edge lines were not painted at all. Drivers will notice this safety enhancement, and they'll also see more road painting trucks. Nova Scotia is recognized nationally as a leader in road safety and transportation and public works, is proud to be the government department in charge of the effort. Our budget for 06-07 designates funds for road safety campaigns, including the promotion of new child safety seat laws. New seatbelt regulations to protect children will come into effect in January 1-07. The department is launching a campaign this fall that will help parents choose the right kind of car seat based on the size and age of the child. The province recognized that we need to better manage the safety of children as they outgrew age and weight recommendations for traditional child safety seats. We need to ensure a safe transition for children until they are big enough to use adult shoulder belts. The department is also developing and will soon launch a multimedia campaign targeting risk-taking young drivers. The objective is to make the issue of speeding and impaired driving important enough to young drivers so that they will take action. The department will work with its road safety partners to promote safe driving in these campaigns, but we'll also continue to support ongoing campaigns such as Operation Christmas. As I mentioned before, road safety is a shared responsibility. At crosswalks, the shared responsibility applies to pedestrians and drivers. We have made progress in improving safety for pedestrians. There are far fewer deaths in Nova Scotia today than there were than there were in the past. In the 1970s, there were 454 fatalities. Since 2000, there have been 7 fatalities at crosswalks in Nova Scotia, 4 at crosswalks on 2-lane roads, and 3 at crosswalks with multi-lane approaches. But we all know one death is too many. And although crosswalk safety is more of a concern in urban areas under municipal responsibility, it's important for the province to investigate, identify, and implement strategies and measures that will improve pedestrian and crosswalk safety. Nova Scotia follows the national standards for signs and markings for crosswalks. Our department staff is in contact with other provinces regarding the use of devices such as flashing amber versus flashing red lights. Road safety is not just about the devices or the engineering. The relationship between the vehicle and pedestrian is very fragile. Road safety is also about education and enforcement, about sharing space and mutual respect. Improving and expanding our roads and highways is key to ensuring our economic and social well-being, and for keeping our communities safe, vibrant, and prosperous. During a 2001 review of Nova Scotia's primary and secondary highway systems, staff identified a $3.4 billion infrastructure deficit. And as I mentioned earlier, the deficit is now at $4 billion, and still it is climbing. To address this need, the province developed a plan identifying priorities and strategies, investments, and increased the capital budget by 400% during the past 7 years. During the next 10 years, the province will invest more than $1.5 billion in capital highway projects. A top priority is ensuring that corridors connected to export markets pave the way to our local prosperity and success within the global economy. During the next 10 years, we will invest more than $200 million to expanding our 100 series highways, based on the primary arterial highway system vision. These roads are not only crucial to Nova Scotia's prosperity, but also to Canada's national highway system. A federal-provincial agreement could be a vehicle for delivering highway improvements and would make our dollars go further. Infrastructure renewal is a multi-billion dollar journey, and we can't go it alone. The province is becoming more strategic and assertive in seeking federal cost-sharing agreements, such as partnerships that could make our dollars go much further. Department staff and I have been in discussions with the Honourable Lawrence Cannon, Canada's Minister of Transport, Infrastructure and Communities. Our discussions have focused on a federally funded long-term program to support our national highway system, and a program to support Nova Scotia's development as an international gateway. Canada is the most trade-dependent nation among the G8 countries. A transportation network that provides efficient and effective access to world markets is key to our economy's success. Certainly, strengthening Nova Scotia's position in the competitive world of international commerce is a top priority for the provincial government. Transportation and Public Works is the lead department in the development of a provincial gateway strategy and action plan. During 06-07, the department has earmarked $250,000 toward the initiative. The goal is to make Nova Scotia the preferred eastern gateway to North America in order to capitalize on tourism, trade, and economic opportunities. The province's role is to work with transportation service providers and organizations and facilitate federal relations, to develop policies and infrastructure that support gateway expansion to the benefit of Nova Scotians and Canadians. Public Works is responsible for the care and operation of 2,200 structures across Nova Scotia, including 25 provincial buildings and courthouses. It manages 16 industrial parks and 10 water utilities. Public Works also builds, upgrades, and maintains schools and special projects such as continuing care homes, justice centers, other provincial facilities, and service buildings for government departments and agencies. In this fiscal year, about $22 million is allocated for renovations to government buildings for new construction projects. Work includes renovations to Government House and Cobequid Centre. The province is also investing in the construction of 2 new justice centres in Lunenburg and Yarmouth. Public Works has the responsibility for the delivery of new schools and major school renovation projects that are included in the Department of Education's capital program. We work with our colleagues in education and the school boards to design and construct high-quality projects that will address the current infrastructure needs and provide the setting for the delivery of high-quality education for future generations. We're continuing our work to create barrier-free access to government and public buildings. The province is committed to ensuring persons with disabilities benefit equally from services offered to the general public within government-owned and leased properties. Transportation and Public Works requires all new buildings and new leases to be barrier-free and incorporates barrier-free design into renovations of existing buildings whenever possible. Public Works now includes government services. This division provides common services to government users, from postal services to accommodation services to government-wide provision of information technology and telecommunications. Staff in this division manage accommodations for all departments, boards, agencies, and commissions. They sell surplus land and manage inventory. Public Works operates the largest data center and information network in Nova Scotia. Staff work to protect our computers from outside attacks and manage the thousands upon thousands of emails that flow in and out of government each day. Department staff handle government-wide contracts for telecommunications, negotiated tender agreements for local and long-distance telephone service, and data and cell phone service. Public Works delivers cutting-edge emergency and field radio services to 14,000 government and emergency first responders. Through the Public Safety Communications Program Office, staff work to enhance public safety and responses to emergencies. They are responsible for the trunked mobile radio system. This first-class radio communication system links all emergency services in the province, police to EMO staff to volunteer firefighters, and many others. The provincial government has also provided millions of dollars in equipment and services to volunteer public safety agencies so that they can access the trunk mobile radio system. The province continues to assist volunteer groups with donated radios and free airtime. The largest contributor to climate change in our province is carbon dioxide from burning fossil fuels for heat, electricity, and transportation. Our department continues to explore new ways to meet Nova Scotia's energy strategy to reduce energy use in government facilities. We are already seeing savings due to more efficient building designs and energy-efficient upgrades of existing structures and heating, lighting, and ventilation systems. The province has also adopted environment-friendly purchasing and sustainable transportation policies. Environmental remediation is an important part of the Public Works portfolio. It involves routine work for the site management, such as demolitions, disposals, and cleanups. Large projects underway now are returning Boat Harbour to a tidal estuary, ongoing cleanup efforts at Five Island Lake, and site management at the old Halifax Infirmary. Renewing roads, bridges, buildings, and water systems while meeting demands for new initiatives that keep our communities and public services current. This challenge will require new ways of doing business. In 2006, we're mapping a route to infrastructure renewal. That will be sustainable into future generations, that augments current and future economic activity, that supports new and emerging technologies, good stewardship, and good design. The government has been working to reform how it plans, builds, and finances and manages public infrastructure to ensure that we provide the best service and use of existing facilities, to ensure that we provide superior project management on new projects. We're mapping the way to infrastructure renewal to provide a supportive setting for our communities and businesses, a setting that encourages investment, immigration, and growth vital for the prosperity of future generations. As Minister responsible for Sydney Tar Ponds Agency, I'll review the estimates for the 06-07 budget. But before I do, I would like to provide a brief progress report from 05-06. As you know, reclaiming the Sydney Tar Ponds and coke ovens has been on for more than a decade. The 04 $400 million federal-provincial memorandum of agreement calls for the removal and destruction of some of the worst contaminants and the in-place treatment of other contaminants using proven technologies. The province of Nova Scotia has agreed to contribute up to $120 million toward the cost of the cleanup, and the Government of Canada has agreed to contribute $280 million. The federal-provincial agreement provided for operational costs for the Sydney Tar Ponds Agency. The agreement also provided funding for 4 preventative projects that need to be completed before the start of the main remediation project. 2 of these projects, the relocation of the Coke Oven Brook and Battery Point Barrier, are underway and will be completed this construction season. A 3rd project has been completed, the replacement of the main water line through the site to Whitney Pier. The 4th project is the remediation of the former Cisco cooling pond. It has been tendered as the province's first Aboriginal set-aside. 4 tenders have been received and are now being evaluated. Before implementation of the first phase of remediation, the provincial government agreed to participate in a joint Canadian Environmental Assessment Agency independent panel review of the detailed project description and environmental impact statement. The final report of the panel's findings is due to be released on July 13th. Afterwards, the Sydney Tar Ponds Agency can begin final detailed engineering and the development of tender packages. It is estimated that during the 06-07 year, the Government of Nova Scotia will incur net capital costs totaling $7,414,484 on the Tar Ponds project. Net operating costs are expected to total $2.67 million. Decommissioning of the Sydney Steel Plant is nearly complete. Approximately 50 tons of scrap are being cut up and sold. Plant components have been sold to private company and await shipment from the site. The former steel plant site is now being redeveloped into a large industrial park known as Harbourside Business Park. It is estimated that in the 06-07 fiscal year, the Government of Nova Scotia will incur net capital and operating costs totaling $12.4 million on the decommissioning of the Cisco plant and the redevelopment of the site. For a few moments, I want to speak about some initiatives underway in Treasury and Policy Board. The top priority is our Better Regulations Initiative, and I am pleased to report that all departments are working with TPB on this. Taking the lead are the Department of Environment and Labour, Service Nova Scotia Municipal Relations, and the Office of Economic Development. Businesses succeed when regulations protect society and the environment, but also let businesses do what they do best, that is, stimulating the economy and creating jobs. Since the Red Tape Reduction Task Force in 2004, Nova Scotia has become a national leader in streamlining administrative processes and expanding online services. During '05, the province reviewed as many as 150 acts and regulations. In '06-07, the Better Regulation Initiative will address red tape through several routes. One, government and industry will analyze the accumulated impact of regulations on small and medium-sized businesses. Two, we will review the cost of regulation. And three, we will review any change the way laws are designed, communicated, and enforced. The Treasury and Policy Board is also working on third-party entity governance and accountability. This is a multi-year initiative to strengthen policies and procedures among third-party entities reported within the province's financial statements. For 06-07, TPB will develop orientation materials for members of government boards and make recommendations to Cabinet on improving the appointment process, remuneration guidelines, governance, and accountability processes. And finally, Mr. Chairman, I'm responsible for Gaelic initiatives. And I'm very pleased to report that the 06-07 budget earmarks $200,000 for activities that will help develop Gaelic heritage across the province. The money will go to initiatives and projects at Gaelic organizations and small business ventures. It will go to research into Gaelic language and culture and to expanding links to Gaelic Scotland, Ireland, and parts of North America. Mr. Chairman, those conclude my opening remarks. I appreciate the patience of the committee and look forward to the discussions.
Chair will now recognize the honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I welcome the opportunity of a few minutes to speak on this very important topic, and I thank the Minister for his opening statement, and certainly welcome all the staff that's here today, both here with you in the gallery and or everybody that's here with the TPW. We have a lot of questions, as you can imagine, and I'm going to be sharing some of my time with some of my colleagues on this side of the House over the next number of hours. But it's certainly, I recognize it as a very large department and certainly one with a lot of responsibilities, as has been outlined. And I'll say right off from the start, I've had good relationship, I do believe, with most of the people in TPW that I've had the opportunity to work with, both locally in my area in Pictou County and in the staff within the department. So I thank the Minister and his staff for that. As I said, I just want to get right into some of the questions here, and I guess the first issue, Mr. Chair, is going to be around just some overall questions on the budget itself. In the estimates book, your budget is outlined as $291 million and change, 291.955 million to be exact. And I'd just like, if I could, Mr. Chair, from the Minister, get a breakdown on what portion or what amount of that 291 million is for transportation and what portion is for public works and other sections. I know it's primarily for transportation, I realize, but could you give us a breakdown on the dollars for that part and also for non-transportation?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I thank the honourable member for his remarks and especially his comments about staff. That's very much appreciated. They are a dedicated group of public servants in the province, and whenever somebody sees fit to provide that recognition, it is always appreciated. I did have the figures here in my notes, but we have the total is $237 million, and that is for highway program. That's the total for the highway program, Mr. Chairman.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so $237 million, so that would leave about $54 million, I guess, for non-transportation public works primarily. So $237 million then is what's allocated to the transportation portion of your budget. Of course, as we know, in that budget, there's some of that's being spent on amortization, I guess, for past years of construction of highway bridges or roads or whatever were built. And I think on page, I guess it's in the supplement section of the estimates, the amount for road amortization is around 51 million, and bridge amortization is 5.7 million, so it's about 57 million, I guess, roughly, would be, while it's being spent in this year, it's really for past projects, I believe. And I realize while you have a capital budget this year for new construction, this really is for paying for old construction. I think I'm correct in that. So that $57 million, if you take that off the 237, then we're around $180 million for new work or new construction. Am I correct in that assumption?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And just perhaps the 57 million to which the honourable member refers is indeed as he described it, but it is not part of the capital budget. It is part of the operating budget. Okay, so that is combined with the other figures of operating, and we have an operating budget of $180 million. Okay, and plus the 57 million to which the honourable member referred.
The Honourable Member for Pictou West.
So, Mr. Chair, I guess in actual fact, the number of new dollars available for this year to pay for new programs, to maintenance or not counting capital, new capital work, but for ongoing maintenance and department salaries and so on is $180 million. The other 57 goes to pay for previous projects that have already been completed. It's paying the mortgage really for past projects. So in actual fact, it's $180 million for new work and maintenance and salaries for this fiscal year. I think I'm correct in that. And of course, as I know, you have a budget, a capital budget that's not included in this budget, but I think it's $176 million. So the two combined is approximately 354 million, somewhere in that range, from this budget and the capital budget. Okay, I want to come back to the Minister's comments in your opening remarks was around the infrastructure deficit. The study was done 10 years ago, indicated that we face an infrastructure deficit in this province somewhere around $3.5 billion, and the update on that now is probably closer to $4 billion. A huge amount of money to fix up every road and every bridge in this province to a satisfactory condition. And I think the recommendation was that we spend over a 10-year period to make up for that was somewhere around $350 million a year. So we're still a bit short, I guess, on that. If the deficit now is over $4 billion, we're still got a ways to go by the sound of things. I'd like to know what is it the department, it's important to recognize that there's an infrastructure deficit, and while we're gradually working towards it, the truth is we're getting farther behind in our highway infrastructure in this province. Bridges and roads are crumbling, they're getting worse than they had been. We're heading in the wrong direction, and while it's important to recognize that, what is the department doing to correct the situation? How are we ever going to catch up with an ever-increasing infrastructure deficit?
The Honourable, the Minister of Transportation Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There are really two major initiatives that this government has put forward with respect to addressing this huge challenge which the honourable member identifies. The first is that we have greatly enhanced our capacity to maintain the roads that we have. at existing levels. We introduced our road improvement money program known as RIM. I don't think road improvement money was the first name that went with it, but the initials remained the same through RIM. And that budget has gone from approximately $10 million when it was introduced to $9 million when it was introduced to $17.5 million this year. And the results of that have been considerable, especially when you look at the work that is being done in areas of ditching and bush cutting and graveling, which really adds to the basic fabric of the roads, if you like, and of the extra time that we are able to get from paved roads through the spreader patching initiative that takes place. So that's one thing that we have done in order to address that very important topic. The other is that we have increased the capital budget by 4 times what it was when we came to government, $44 million, and multiply that by 4, and you have a $176 million increase in the capital budget. Now, are we all the way there yet? No, but we have made very significant progress, and we are determined to continue to make that progress.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we all the way there yet? No, we're not. We got a long ways to go. I guess it's important to recognize that, and you know, I'm going to give you some examples here of some roads in a few minutes that certainly need a whole lot of work. But and I'm sure on a daily basis, as MLAs, we hear about roads that need a tremendous amount of work in each of our ridings, and it's probably the #1 issue that I hear about in my constituency office is roads or need for ditching or asphalt patching or repair, guardrails, bush cutting, grass mowing, more pothole filling, just a whole long list of concerns. And you know, there's no question we have a huge challenge here ahead of us, but more needs to be done. I just wanted to ask if, reading through the estimates, I can't seem to determine exactly how it's the maintenance dollars are broken down between the 100 series and the and secondary roads. And I'm wondering if you can give us any figure on the maintenance dollars that are spent, first of all, in the 100 series and the maintenance dollars that are spent on secondary roads in this province.
The Honourable the Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The allocation of the funding is based on the sort of the inventory of road that we have, and in terms of maintenance, it is allocated on a formula basis. So much goes to the 100 series highways, and so much goes to local roads, whether they be numbered roads or just county roads. The money is allocated to them. The RIM money, to which I referred earlier, that money is not spent at all on 100 series highways, but is allocated completely to local roads, and that is done by a formula which results in that money being distributed in the same way throughout all areas of the province, so that there is the formula, when applied, determines how that money is going to be spent, and that is how it is spent throughout the entire province.
The Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Well, I'm not sure that's if I'm any more clear here. I guess what I was asking is, do we have a dollar figure on the maintenance that's spent on 100 series highways? And do we have a dollar figure on the amount that's spent on secondary roads? Is there an exact figure for both of those categories?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I understand that there is such a figure. I don't have it today, but I expect we'll see you again tomorrow, and I'll have it with me at that time.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair. Yes, you will see me tomorrow, and it's going to go on for a while, that's for sure. I guess I'd ask also if you can give me a figure on the maintenance costs on bridges as well. So the 100 series, secondary roads, and bridges, how much is spent on those three categories? Okay, thank you. I guess I want to move on now to about in your capital budget, and this year it's $176 million, and how that is allocated around the province. And I'm just interested in knowing how the decision is made on which roads are going to be done. And there's 23,000 kilometers of roads out there in this province, and obviously there's not enough money to go around to get it all looked after. How are decisions made in your department as to which roads are going to be improved, or a capital budget? Can you give me some insight into that process?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There are really two processes, if you like, that take place. One is an assessment that is an ongoing process that is conducted by staff at the Department of Transportation and Public Works. That's based on the knowledge of local department employees who do an assessment of the roads. It is also, what is the name of our vehicle? What is it? We use our ARAM vehicle. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity of seeing it, but if not, I would be glad to arrange for you to see it. But it's a vehicle, pardon? It's a vehicle that has tremendous capacity to do assessment of roads by traveling over them, and it accumulates a great deal of data, and that gives the department staff a real good look as to the actual standard of the road itself in terms of applying a whole host of criteria. Also, the volume of traffic that is on a road is a factor that plays into it. The other, of course, is communication with communities. Whether that communication is conducted through people from the community writing directly to the department, or whether they write through members of the legislature, or sometimes county councillors become involved in articulating concerns that they have. And we do our best to try and marry the concerns from both a technical perspective and from the community in terms of establishing the capital program.
Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to pick up on this community effort. I guess as critic for transportation, I hear from various communities around the province, and often getting petitions and letters, and as I'm sure you are too, Mr. Minister. In fact, lots of times I pass them on to you or to your department. And just as an example, one community group in my area that I'm going to mention that's worked very, very hard is the West Branch Community Improvement Association. And they've been an active group. I know your deputy minister has had the opportunity to drive in that area and look at the roads in that area of Pictou County. And they have an active executive. They're lobbying continuously, and their job is, as my job, is to bring to you and to the department their concerns. And they've done a good job of that. And we were successful last year in that area, and they got the Highway 256 paved. And we were thankful for that. And this year, their project was the West Branch Road from River John to the community of West Branch. And I'm just wondering if you can give me an update. I've talked to your chief engineer a few weeks ago, and he gave me an update at that time on what the tender process was. And I wonder if I can get an update, current situation at this time.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm told that we are awaiting the estimate, and it should go to tender before the end of this month for that particular road. And again, the honourable member points out that there's a community that did quite a job in illustrating their concerns. They even produced a video, which we had an opportunity to view, and that of course factors into it. Just if I go back to the ARAN measures, it measures ruts and produces a video of the road itself so that people can see it.
Member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have some other questions I'm going to follow up in this line in a few minutes, but so I'm going to come back to that. But I want to share my time here with our leader, and I'll turn it over to him.
Honourable Member, Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Minister, your staff. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to discuss the estimates, well, afternoon, sorry. This afternoon to discuss the estimates of your department. And I just want to focus, and I don't think I'll take very long with this, but I just want to focus on a few things that I haven't quite understood, and I'm sure you'll be able to explain to me. And one of them is the question of how the amount of money that's spent on highways is actually calculated. Because I go to 18.2 of the estimates, and in the estimates it talks about the highway program, and there are a number of estimates set out there: highway programs administration, field operations, highways and bridges. You know, they're all set out there in 18.2. Now, I did some figuring. I added it because they don't. One of the things I find unfortunate about the way the estimates are structured, they don't actually add up this column. But if you add that column up, which I have done, you come to $237,708,000. That's what you come to. That I see you shaking your head, but that sounds about right. Okay. Now, just for the sake of comparison purposes, I have here the Nova Scotia budget highlights, and here it lists what motor fuel taxes are in the province, the revenue that comes in from motor fuel, and that's $244,902,000. Now, I think any way you add that up, that is a difference of at least $7.2 million between the money that's actually spent on highways and that money that is brought in motor fuel taxes. You know, I've heard the government say over and over again that all motor fuel taxes are spent on highways, but on the government's own addition, that never happened. So I just like your response.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And previously, we spoke about two numbers that constitute the makeup of the Transportation and Public Works budget. And one is the figure to which the honourable member referenced, and that is the amount of money, including the amortization charges that are spent by the department of $174.6 million, or $174,602,000. But in addition, there is the capital budget of the Transportation and Public Works, which is an amount of $176,827,000. And the total of those two is an amount of $351 million for $351,429,000, and that is an amount in excess of the revenue from fuel tax and registry of motor vehicles of almost $30 million.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, that's all very true, and I've heard that all before, but of course it's also irrelevant because the capital program, the capital spending of the department does not come out of this year's revenue. It's going to be paid for in the years to come. In fact, by its very definition, it's a capital program, and you can use an amortized amount toward what you're going to pay this year, but even that, if you think about it, doesn't make any sense. Because in your first year, you wouldn't make that payment. You'd make it in the first payment you'd actually make toward paying down the capital debt that you're accruing would be in the next year. So, just to be clear, none of the capital money that you spend this year comes out of the revenue this year. Am I right?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, the cash that we spend in the Department of Transportation and Public Works in this year is an amount of $351 million. That goes on the roads of this province. That's the cash outlay. That was the commitment we made, and we've lived up to that commitment.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
No, well, this is exactly the point, because it's not true. The capital program that you spend comes as a result of borrowing on behalf of the province. That borrowing, which you do, will be paid for in future years. It is not paid for out of the revenue. Now, I can't believe that the minister is sitting here and telling me that he doesn't understand that. Tell me whether or not you understand the difference between capital financing and what you are getting and putting in the roads out of this year's revenue.
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And if we want to approach the number from the way the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is approaching it, then the expenditure would have to be to meet the criteria he's establishing. Then the expenditure this year would have to be $1.7 billion.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, maybe he can explain that. It's baffling to me. I mean, it is quite a simple question here. You have a capital budget which has been established, and you talked about, you added the two numbers together, but the reality of today is the capital program that you have is done with money that you are borrowing and are going to pay off in years to come. So maybe you could explain what you said and explain to me the difference between what I've said and what I've represented here.
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Mr. Chairman, the fact of the matter is that the cash we're spending on roads this year, okay, that is the amount of money that's going out to purchase liquid asphalt, to pay wages, to pay for the diesel fuel that goes into it, to pay the salaries of department people who are associated with the capital work, all of those things, plus the operating outlay off the Department of Transportation and Public Works is an amount of $351,429,000. And that, Mr. Chairman, is $28 million more than the revenue taken in from motor fuel tax and from the Registry of Motor Vehicles.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, my frustration level is just about high enough. But I could go out and borrow on the basis of my home, and I could borrow $100,000, and I could spend it tomorrow on my home, along with a portion of my income. And that doesn't mean that my income has gone up by $100,000. It means I have borrowed $100,000 against an asset which I am going to pay for later. That's what capital does. That is the fundamental problem with the way, and quite frankly, the way I continue to be frustrated with the Department of Transportation misleading the people of this province about how much money is actually spent on highways. I'm happy to turn this back to my colleague.
Honourable Member of Transportation, Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. There's obviously a difference in interpretation, but the commitment that was been made and speaking about misleading, the commitment that's been made is to spend all of this money on the roads of this province. And this government has exceeded that commitment, Mr. Chairman, and we anticipate continuing to exceed that commitment, because the capital budget that we have now is 4 times what it was when we came to government, and it's our intention to keep that capital program going as we stated. You can play with the numbers all you want, Mr. Chairman, but the outlay of cash on the roads of this province is an amount of $351 million in this fiscal year.
Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to go back to my line of questioning on trying to figure out how it is that the department determines which roads or which capital projects they're going to be working on each year. And it was mentioned previously, sometimes it's community input that is a factor in that. Sometimes it's the ARAM machine that will determine what needs to be done. And I suppose it's sometimes department staff that has local input into the administration here in the department. But I guess I'm trying to figure out just how it is to determine that A road or B road or C road is going to be done. And you know, we're pleased that the West Branch Road is going to be done. We're pleased that several other roads are going to be done in the province this year. But as was mentioned previously, we need a whole lot more roads done. There's just no shortage of them. But I'd like a little more explanation, I guess, from the minister on the process. Who makes the final decision? Once you have community input, you've got your area manager's input, you've got your engineer's input. Who makes those decisions on which roads are going to be done this year?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As I indicated, the recommendations do come forward from staff, and they are based on a variety of factors which I had outlined previously. And I am in the position where I provide the final approval of the program based on the recommendations that come forward.
Honourable Member for Pictou West.
So the final decision then rests with the minister or the deputy minister, or I guess the buck stops here with the minister, I assume. But I guess I'm going to come around to around to the word fairness. You know, our secondary roads or bridges, or are they allocated on a fair and equitable basis throughout the province? And as you know, we have 52 constituencies here in Nova Scotia, and some of those are urban ridings, but I'm guessing there's probably 35 or close to 40 rural ridings that would require an investment from your department. Riding by riding, is the principle of fairness and equity allocated to each of the constituencies, each of the counties, each of the areas of this province?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We do try to be as equitable as we can, and we've determined that we have about 28 ridings that we could describe as being rural ridings, and there are another 24 which are either mostly or all urban or mostly urban, and so the criteria that you would apply to those ridings would be different than the criteria that you would apply to the ridings that we would categorize as being rural or completely rural. I would just like to come back to a previous discussion that took place and draw to the attention of members of the House the Provincial Finance Act, Part 6, which deals with our commitment with respect to funding, and Section 29, the Provincial Finance Act, says that notwithstanding Section 7A or any other enactment, the estimates referred to in Section 7A shall include, for each fiscal year, an amount respecting the construction and maintenance of highways that is not less than the total of all of the revenue items, whether it be fuel tax or registry of motor vehicles. So that we're meeting the commitment as spelled out in the Finance Act for the province of Nova Scotia.
Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Well, we're a little on two tracks here, I think, and two different questions. But my question to you was around the fairness to the each of the constituencies, and is it operated on a fair and equitable basis? And I did notice in I think it was in the throne speech, there was a line in there on the last concluding portion, which says that we will address need before want, and that's a very sound principle to live by. And I can certainly say there's all kinds of rural roads in this province that have a whole lot of need, and so based on that premise that the need would occur before want, are we getting fair and equitable treatment in each of our ridings? And Mr. Chair, I want to refer to a document that was provided to me by your department on the 2005-2006 capital program. So last year, based on the capital expenditures in each of our ridings, I see ridings like Colchester North received over $9 million. That's a neighboring constituency of mine. I see the riding of Hants West received over $8 million in capital construction. Hants East, on the other hand, had around a little over $5 million. Another neighboring riding of mine was Pictou East, had $7.3 million. My riding had approximately $3 million last year. So I guess my question is, why are, here's another one, Colchester Musquodoboit Valley, $12.5 million last year in capital construction. And on it goes, but I can see some ridings that are receiving very little, and here's the riding of Antigonish, Mr. Chair, almost $6 million. The riding of Inverness had $7 million. Why are some ridings apparently getting more capital investment than others, if we're looking at a system of fairness and equity throughout the province?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Constituencies are not the same in terms of the inventory of roads that exists in all of the constituencies. If you have a constituency that has a large portion of 100 series highways traveling through it, and work is being done to reestablish that, that's far more expensive than it is to do the repaving on a county road. And we do have, as a policy of government, we dedicate a certain amount of our funding on an annual basis to maintain the 100 series highways of the province, because that needs to be the priority of the transportation system. So an examination of the numbers that the honourable member has does not take into account factors such as the influence of 100 series highways on those numbers. And you made reference to Antigonish. Well, I can tell you, if you move away from the 104 and take that money out of the Antigonish figure, it's not as big as I would like to see it.
Honourable Member for Pictou West. Thank
you, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair. No, I realize that the 100 series highways are a different category altogether, but in secondary roads, I guess all we're asking for is equity and fairness. And I know, for example, let's take the Colchester Musquodoboit Valley. I don't think there's any 100 series highways in that riding that had an investment of $12.5 million in it. For example, in my own county here, in the previous capital year of 2004-2005, I see the riding in Pictou East had more than $5 million invested, and Pictou West had about $500,000. So there's a huge difference. And I realize there was a little bit of grubbing, a little bit of work done on the 104 in that riding, but it certainly doesn't explain that difference. And I guess the principle, as I outlined, it was mentioned in the throne speech that you look at the idea of need before want, and I guess that's all I can ask, is that the minister and his department would look, to treat everybody fair, and that every area of the province receive fair and equitable treatment. And I know from my area of the province in Pictou West, there's just a whole lot of roads that I hear from on a daily basis people are very unhappy with, and whether it's the Tony River Road or the West Branch Road, the Scotch Hill Road, the Green Hill Road, the Cape John Road, the Millbrook Road. There's just dozens and dozens of roads out there. The Foxbrook Road, maybe you're familiar with Mr. Minister. It just doesn't end. The Granton Road past the Michelin plant, the Abercrombie Road, the Bayview Road, the Brayshore Road, just a long list of secondary roads that are crumbling or are in very poor condition, very poor shape, and over and over, I'm hearing about it in my constituency office, and as I do hear from other MLAs around the province that are having real concerns. But there's many out there that require a good amount of repair and work, and I guess I'm asking the minister that fairness and equity and equal treatment for all be a guiding principle within the department. I don't know if you want to respond to that, Mr. Minister. If not, I'll go on to some other questions. But okay.
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And as the honourable member was speaking, I've been able to find his area of the province in this atlas, and indeed, all of the roads to which he referenced are visible, and all of us, I'm sure, could get up here and provide quite a list of roads that are wanting. And I see the honourable member for Hants East nodding his head in approval, and I'm sure he could provide me with a considerable list, as could my colleagues with me. And certainly the principle of fairness is one which we'll do our best to consider in all of our decision making.
Honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just very recently, last week, I think it was announced that you're perhaps not going to be able to carry out as much capital work in this province as you had hoped. I guess primarily due to the rising cost of asphalt, and I know during the election campaign it was announced over and over that we were going to have the largest capital program in 40 years, something like 2,000 kilometers over the next 4 years alone, and and by the sound of things, that's not going to happen. So I wonder, Mr. Chair, through you to the Minister, if you could give us an update on what amount is not going to happen, and has a decision been made on which projects will be delayed or will not happen this year?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And the pricing of roads is not something that you ever know with certainty until such time as the contracts are bid upon, and you get to the point where you decide to award or make other decisions because the pricing is far higher than you had anticipated through the estimate process. But I want it to be clearly understood that we are going to spend the amount of money that we said we would spend. Now, leading up to the calling of tenders for this year's program, we did anticipate that there would be an increase in the price of liquid asphalt, and we estimated that. I think initially we estimated the number to be an additional $2 million, and subsequent to that, based on some of the early numbers that we saw, we deemed it appropriate to add another $1 million to that figure. But until the contracts start coming in, you don't know with certainty what those numbers are going to be. So that means then that we're in a position where we're going to have to look at some of the programs that we had anticipated doing this year, and we're not going to put or decide not to do those projects, but we may have to put some projects in what we call a fall tender call, so that we can get to the point of awarding the contract but the work would not take place or not be completed until next fiscal. But that because those contracts are awarded, then it's the first work that gets done in the following spring, and they're usually completed very early in the construction season. So the total number of projects that will be in that category is not yet been clearly determined. We're currently looking at about a dozen, but then again, we still have about 20% of our work to be called, and we're going to have to monitor very carefully the results of that. What it does do, of course, is bring into play other surfaces that can be used for the building of roads, in particular the use of cement and concrete in the building of roads, and it'll be interesting to see what impact that has. It also brings into play the use of alternate surfacing to pavement. Double chip seal is something that can be used in roads where there isn't a great deal of heavy, as in weight, traffic on the roads, and that's that's an opportunity. The other, as I indicated earlier, thing that we need to do in some instances is to enhance the maintenance program, and that RIM becomes a much bigger factor in that. And I'm just reminded here that New Brunswick uses double chip seal on a lot of its local roads, and apparently with some success. So we're doing some roads in that now, and it may be that will be a very preferred surface in some situations.
The honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess what I'm hearing from you, that the promise of, I guess it's 500 kilometers, is it? It was 2,000 kilometers over 4 years, so that's 500 kilometers a year. I assume that this year then there will be 500 kilometers done, tendered, but maybe you're saying there's going to be some delay in that. It'll be some fall tender rather than all being done in this summer. Some of it will be tendered and actually be done in 2007. Am I correct in that assumption?
Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the honourable member for his second question, because I didn't make it clear the first time. Matter of fact, I didn't address it, so it's not a matter of clarity, I just didn't address it. I meant to say, and to make it very clear, that we will be resurfacing more than 500 kilometers this year, even with the 12 projects that may not get done until next year. So in this construction season, there will be in excess of 500 kilometers of pavement put down, which leaves us on schedule with respect to the commitment that we made during the campaign.
Honourable member for Pictou West.
So 500 kilometers plus is the maybe 510, 520. I don't know where it's going to end up, but perhaps the minister can clarify that. But it's in addition to 500 kilometers of secondary roads. I guess we're talking secondary roads here, not or is the 100 series included in that? Maybe you can clarify that for me. 500 kilometers of, I assume, secondary roads that will be done this year. And so if you can clarify that, and also how does that compare to last year, to 05-06? How many kilometers were actually paved in Nova Scotia the fiscal year that just ended in March?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I want to when we talk about the paving program, we're talking about, as I indicated in my answer to the fairness question, you have to take into account 100 series highways as well as local. So what we're talking about is total kilometers of pavement. and put down on the road surfaces of the province. And if the honourable member is interested in the history, I can give it to him. It'll be in excess of 500 this year. If we go back to 0102, we did 209 kilometres. In 0203, we did 301 kilometres. 0304, we did 318. 0405, we did 386. And 0506, we did 470. And this year, we will be in excess of 500. I can't give you an exact number because we, as I indicated, we still have about 20% of the work to be called.
Honourable member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, Mr. Minister, it brings into question the ability of other road surfaces, and maybe they're competitive on cost. Concrete, certainly I've had some opportunity to travel in Quebec and Ontario, where concrete is used considerably, and perhaps this will now allow concrete to become a competitive priced product. And also, you mentioned double chip seal. I'm not quite sure exactly, is that over old pavement, or is that over gravel, or how does that work? Is it resurfacing the asphalt that's there, or is it something different?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Chip seal surfacing is used in two different ways. The chip seal surfacing on pavement is used to enhance the life of existing pavement. And that's a single layer of chip seal that's put on that. When we use the double chip seal, it is used on gravel roads, and that's a process whereby they go out and put down a layer of chip seal, and then once that's set and fixed, they can come by and they put down another layer of that chip seal. And I believe in subsequent years they sometimes go out and do another layer on top of that. So we might even have to look at changing the name to triple chip seal, but there is, it's multiple layers of chip seal that go on over a period of time, but the initial application is 2 layers.
Honourable member for Pictou West.
Okay, I just want, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to verify, Mr. Minister, the number of kilometres you said were paved in 0506, this past calendar year or fiscal year. You mentioned 470 kilometres. I guess the information that I had from your department previously, provided by your department staff, was 500 kilometres. Which is correct? Is it 470 or is it 500?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
The 470 kilometres is pavement and does not include surfaces such as chip seal, which would be included in the number the honourable member has.
Honourable member for Pictou West.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair. I want to move on to a different topic, I guess, because my time is slipping along here. Recently, in the news, there was a discussion in Antigonish and Guysborough County about the highway that's not going to be built. It's for Celtic Petrochemical, the company there building the Goldboro project there was quite willing to put in a 100 series highway at no cost to the province. It would cost somewhere around $50 million, and a nice new surface 53-kilometer highway between the town of Antigonish and the Goldboro facility. And all of a sudden they withdrew their application, and they said the province was not supportive, would not come up with the maintenance dollars to look after it. It seemed like a godsend to me. Why would the department not support a project almost like a gift horse in the mouth here? They were willing to spend the capital investment of $50 million. Why did the province say no?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think we want to be clear about the decisions that have been taken here. The decision that was taken, as I understand it, by Celtic Petrochemicals was to remove the road from the environmental assessment. Okay, that does not mean that a decision was taken not to build the road. because if they're going to go ahead with their project, which is, you know, an LNG terminal, a petrochemical plant, access to that site would be required. And we as a government have said from day one that if a project goes and they're creating 500 jobs in the site in Goldboro, there will be a road to that site, okay? So the company has taken the decision to remove their route for the road from the environmental assessment. Now, subsequent to that, there has been communication from the department that while it does reflect the attitude of the department with respect to a brand new road as set out by the descriptions of Celtic Petrochemicals, it does not necessarily reflect the policy of government with respect to addressing the transportation needs of that project. And that's not to say that the department was dismissing the need to provide access to that site through a transportation link. It simply dealt specifically with the proposal as presented by Celtic Petrochemicals. Government and the department have a very real interest, as I indicated, in ensuring that there is a link to that project if and when it proceeds. And I must say I've never met a more determined individual than the president of Celtic Petrochemicals, Kevin Dunn. He has kept this project alive and has brought it forward and in a very logical, methodical way. And he is nailing down the essentials that would be required to make such a project a go, and that is the supply of natural gas. So while the project is not yet a go, I'm reasonably confident that if anybody is going to succeed in this, it would be Mr. Dunn who would succeed. So assuming that he is successful with this project and it gets launched, then there is going to be a road and we will participate with the company in the development of that road. And for the interest of the honourable member, I can say that Celtic Petrochemicals and the Department of Transportation and Public Works will be meeting in the very near future, i.e. within the next number of days, in order to discuss their needs and the needs of the people of Nova Scotia. If we can deal with a transportation route to that site that enhances the transportation routes used by current citizens, then we've served not only the interests of the company, but we have enhanced the transportation opportunities for people that live in the area. And if we can do both of those things, we feel that that would be a very good solution to the problem of providing a transportation link to that project.
Honourable Member for Pictou West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so it sounds then like the department has, I guess, changed their mind or it has a different approach on it. Certainly the initial reaction from the department was, and I quote from the department personnel, was the alignment proposed in this draft report is not consistent with our 100 series expansion plans. We have never supported it and thus are not prepared to comment on the environmental or safety issues associated with it. So I guess, Mr. Minister, the department then is taking the opposite approach to that, and you're saying now that you're prepared to work with Celtic Petrochemicals, and are you still willing then to pay for the maintenance if they're willing to put in the road?
Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And one of the factors that members would be interested in observing about this particular issue is that the route as proposed by Celtic Petrochemicals is a totally greenfield route. And that would require an environmental assessment. It would be a level 2 environmental assessment, very extensive, time consuming, and involves involves a great deal. And that is why the company took the decision to withdraw that from their environmental assessment of the entire project, given the communication to which the honourable member referenced. Now, and that is a 100 series highway that was proposed. It's a 100 series highway that would serve the needs of the project, but would not serve the needs of anybody else that lived in that part of the province. If we are able to, in our discussions with Celtic Petrochemicals, identify a route that is suitable to them as well as to ourselves, and that route employs existing roadbed, then we are able to avoid the need for an environmental assessment because we're building the road on existing roadbeds. That would greatly shorten the time frame that would be required in order for an assessment and approval to be required to proceed with the construction of that road. In answer to the question, will we do the maintenance on the road? The answer to that question is absolutely yes, that we will maintain that road, but it will be a road that will reflect the mutual needs of the Department of Transportation, Public Works, Government of Nova Scotia, as well as the Celtic Petrochemical Company.
Time allotment is completed. I'd like to have the honourable member for Preston.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I've got some specific questions for the minister, and the first one I'm going to start with. And you indicated earlier, I believe you said it was $351 million in total budget that you use in the department. Could you break that down? I don't want it totally broken down because it's in the thing here, but broken down between what you do and the portion of that you put into actual maintenance on the roads and the costs that you do for new paving and new construction, well, not saying new construction, but repaving of roads. So in general terms, what do we pay?
Honourable Minister of Transportation, Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I thank the honourable member for his question. I can provide numbers to the honourable member. The operating part of the budget is an amount of $174 million. The capital budget is just about $177 million. And if I'm rounding, I should have said 175 in the first instance. Now, in the operating part of the budget, the highways and bridges operating account is $151.6 million. Vehicle compliance is $2.6 million. Maintenance improvements of $20.4 million. That's to give you the total of the $175 million. And as I indicated, the amount of money spent on highways and bridges, capital equipment, is $176.8 million. I don't know if we ever break down between the highways and bridges itself. We bring yeah, bridges are, I see the number, bridges 14.1 million, and steel truss bridges 13 million. So that'd be a total of 27 on bridges. Okay.
Honourable member for Preston.
If it was to be possible, could you supply that in a written form at a later date? Don't have to be today. Yeah, that'd be great. Now, on the capital projects, 177 million you indicated roughly, and how is that broken down? Is that broken down between bridge repair and highway reconstruction and new construction? How is that broken down?
Honourable Minister of Transportation, Public Works.
And this is the tangible capital assets. Yeah. Under the TCA, or the capital portion of the budget, $25.6 million is provided to asphalt. All right, and that's new surface. That's okay. So if we twin a road, then that we reference that as being new asphalt laid. Okay. The subgrade is $3.5 million. Repaving, that is the laying down of asphalt over existing paved roads, is $109.6 million. As I indicated, bridges are $14.1 million, with steel truss bridges being an amount of $13 million. We plan to spend $7.4 million on machinery. That would be trucks and graders and things of that nature. And in the purchase of land, we have an amount of $3 million set aside for that. So that the total, as I indicated, is $177 million. And we have $600,000 set aside for vehicle purchase as well. That would be trucks and vans and things of that nature.
Honourable member.
And the point to remember, of course, is that this is a budgeted item. As tenders close and things happen, then there's a bit of movement in terms of those numbers.
Honourable member for Preston.
Now, recently, the department indicated that some of the tenders you may have to rethink because of the cost of petroleum products now, and the asphalt cost has gone up. How much has that affected the department and the ability to pave some of the roads? Is that going to have I know it's hard to say because the price is continually changing. How much effect is that going to have on your, say, new surface repaving and the new asphalt or the new surface budget? Is that going to mean that you're going to have like 5% less that you're going to be able to do in each year, or 10% or 3%? What kind of percentage do you think how it's going to affect each one of those?
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
This is similar to a question that I had previously, and what I can say is, in terms of any impact on the twinning of roads or new pavement or asphalt, we describe as being asphalt, there will be no impact on that. We're going to proceed with those projects. But currently, we're considering approximately 12 projects that may not proceed. Now, despite the fact that they won't proceed, we still will be doing in excess of 500 kilometers of resurfacing this year, which is, I can't give you the precise number because we still have about 20% of our work to call, but it's going to be 500 plus kilometers that will be done. So the 12 projects will take from the total we had hoped to achieve somewhat, but we're still doing a very, very large amount of work this year.
Honourable member for Preston.
Now, there's one project that I know for a long time has been put on hold. I'd like to get some detail on if I could, and I know some land has been purchased for it over a long period of time. It's a 107 bypass that's going to go into, almost connect to Burnside, but not quite, and comes in through Lake Echo, just this side of Lake Echo. It's one that you may not be familiar with because it's been on the books for a long time, and there's been very little progress on it, but it's one that the traffic congestion is now getting so bad on Main Street and through the number 7 107 where it comes together there, that if it's soon not fixed, that the accident rate is going up. There's a lot of improvements that the municipality are trying to do to try to get the traffic to flow through there better, but the road just can't handle the traffic, and a lot of traffic comes through from the rural areas and wants to get to either downtown Dartmouth or Halifax or into Burnside. And indeed, as the growth in the population goes up and the more and more new houses are built, it puts more and more stress on the existing road that's probably taxed, not to the limit yet, but it's getting close. And wonder what the plan for that road is, if there's any plan to continue with that and hopefully alleviate some of the congestion that's there and some of the accidents we've been seeing in the last a few years. And I would say and this is just a guess because I don't know what the traffic flow really is, and I'm sure that the department or the municipality would know, because this one section of road belongs to them, but the 107 wouldn't, of course. It would be a provincial road. How the traffic's increased, to me, it almost doubled over the last 5 years, it appears to, but again, that's just my guess. That doesn't mean that that's accurate.
Honorable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And one of the reasons that I was moving here is that I was attempting to find that particular road in the map. I have found it, and I understand what the honourable member is referring to. And we have indeed, we have completed the environmental assessment of that piece of road. We are moving at acquiring the land for the road. In terms of being able to proceed with the project, it is unfortunately not a road that is cost shared with the Government of Canada, and that has been a limiting factor in terms of our capacity to be able to move. As the honourable member would know, it's not part of the national highway system, and so, you know, from that perspective, it makes it difficult. But it is a road that we would like to see proceeded with, and it's a question of when available funding becomes, shows up.
Honourable Member for Preston.
Can you give me an estimate? I know it's difficult because this is something new that I hadn't talked to you about before. Is it possible for the department to give me an estimate when you may feel that the final amount of land will be acquired? How aggressively are you going after the land? I know these things take time, and it goes all in a progression, but when the land purchases might be completed?
Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, we will endeavour to provide as much detail as we can to be helpful to the honourable member, and I'm a bit reluctant to start predicting when the purchase of land will occur, and for, I think, obvious reasons. So, but we'll be as helpful as we can in terms of providing information to you.
Honourable Member for Preston.
Yeah, I fully understand when it comes to purchase of land. There's some serious negotiations, and on behalf of the taxpayers, we've got to make sure you spend the money prudently, which I'm sure you and your staff will do. The only issue with this is this is a 100 series highway, and the whole eastern part from the Halifax Harbour out has really been a depressed area for a long, long time, and we don't really have a really good transportation system there. And this particular point, where the road goes in and connects to the other highways and continues, has really been a detriment to development in the area. From a standpoint of transportation for businesses and also for people that commute back and forth to the city to work or to Burnside or any other place that they must have to travel to every day. But in particular businesses, because a business doesn't have a good easy access to transportation, of course, they struggle through the process. And then you add into that problem, there's become more and more accidents on the number 7107, where it's sort of one road. It's really an upgraded number 7 in that area before it really gets into the 107. That's caused lots and lots and lots of problems. There's some very dangerous intersections there that there's near accidents or accidents on a very continuous basis. So if this road could be put in, it would alleviate the tremendous amount of stress on the road. So it's a situation I wanted to bring to the minister's attention, because I think it's very, very important that this road be considered and actually put in place as quickly as we can to ensure that the residents, we don't lose any more residents to accidents, and we can avoid, of course, that you never know about that, and also to make it more suitable for people so they can start businesses and operate businesses in the area to ensure we can employ people in the local area so they don't have to travel on the roads and generate more highways.
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I do appreciate the points that the honourable member is making. I'm familiar with the area and have travelled that particular piece of road that he would like to see bypassed, and it's indeed it is a challenge. It's our difficulty and our challenge is that it is among the high priority roads that we have. Our challenge is that we have too many high priority roads, but certainly it is one that we would like to see done.
Honourable Member for Preston.
I appreciate that, and I'm sure after our discussions today, the minister will put this a little bit higher on the list, I would hope anyway. I know you have a lot of priorities, and it's important. It's one that's going to become a more and more difficult one for your department to deal with, I guarantee you, just because of the traffic flows, and as more and more people realize such a wonderful place the Eastern Shore is to live on, more and more people are moving there, so that's going to be a real challenge for the department in a very short time. I have another road that I want to ask about. I've asked about this one before, and it's actually O'Connell Drive, and I'm sure your staff is very familiar with this one. It's in Porter's Lake, and O'Connell Drive is now presently a subdivision road, but it really should be a secondary road because of the school that's on there, creating a tremendous amount of traffic, beating the road right to death. I think your department staff, your maintenance staff, who do an excellent job with what they've got to work with and the road bed, considering what they have to deal with. They do an excellent job. And I can't say enough good about the staff in the area that have worked hard to keep this road passable, literally passable. We had one time last year, that it was impassable, and actually they closed the road because the ruts were this deep from the school buses traveling over it and all the vehicles going to the school. And this is a road I believe should be paved from the number 7 highway to the school because it's owned by the province. Any road past that is owned by the municipality actually. But from the road to the school should be paved and paid for by the province because the school is causing all the traffic and all the problems. And there's only about probably 25 houses on that street that actually have road frontage on it, very limited traffic. And actually now the school is closed, the maintenance problem on this road is gone. It's actually gone. And they'll grade it a couple of times this summer. They'll put calcium chloride on it to keep the dust down. Beautiful. As soon as September comes, nothing but problems. And I would bet if you look at the cost of your department maintaining this road over the last 2 years, you could have paved it and paid for it. It's that expensive to maintain, and they've done everything they can to try to get the road bed better. They've tried everything that they would have under the maintenance budget to do it. And I'd like to see this road actually paved at the province's expense, where it is a road that is really a secondary road because a tremendous number of cars and vehicles that go to the school all the time. They have some large sports fields there that they use, and the students now are close to 500 students there, P to grade 6 operation, and a lot of parents traveling there is every day. So I'd like to inquire on that, what the plan is for that particular road.
Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And one of the most common arguments that I've encountered since I become Minister of Transportation and Public Works is an argument that I've employed myself in the past to previous ministers, is that if you pave this road, you'll save yourself all kinds of maintenance costs into the future. And I now fully understand why I got the response I got from previous ministers. It's because we don't have the money to pave all of the roads we'd like to pave. And we'd love to take that operating budget and slim it down and do that. However, that's not an alternative at this point. I'm not familiar with the details of that road, certainly not as familiar as I am with the needs you articulated with respect to 107, but you've certainly brought it to our attention, and we'll look at what the circumstances are.
Honourable Member for Preston.
Just to give you just a little bit more information on the road. The road is very short, the section I'm talking about. It is last winter, during the winter actually, they had to dig the road bed up about 2 feet deep and put in some very heavy gravel so even the trucks and buses could get over it. And it was so bad at one time, there was a gentleman lived up the road and he was extremely worried that he wasn't even going to get a moving van in so he could move. That's how bad a shape the road gets in with the right freezing and thawing conditions. And of course, last winter we had a lot of spring thaws, would freeze and thaw and freeze and thaw. And I guarantee you, check your records on this one, and this is a road that really, really costs you more than if it was paved. And there's no question. If you ask the local supervisors or anyone that works at the Department of Transportation in the local area, it's the #1 road they work on it every week. It's that simple, and when school is open. So it's one that I think that deserves some special attention, and hopefully you'll be able to review that and see if there's something can be done in that regard. And I would just ask if you would, after you get a chance to review the information and look at it, and I think it'll take some time to get the details back from the local operation back to through your staff, to see if we can't get that something done with that road. And I just ask for your commitment.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and we'll certainly be very pleased to have a look at that road.
The Honourable Member for Preston.
Thank you very much. And always roads, always paving is always a problem in Nova Scotia. We never have enough money in too many roads. The other one I just want to ask you about, which you may already have on your list to do, and your staff can probably tell you right away, is from Lake Echo through to into Porter's Lake. I believe there's going to be a tender, or there has been a tender called to have that #7 highway paved in that area. I just want to confirm that.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation Public Works.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and if all goes well, that tender will be in the paper tomorrow.
The Honourable Member for Preston.
I'd like to thank the Minister for that, because that's a section of road that's in extremely bad condition, and the residents will greatly appreciate it, and we get a lot of traffic there. Maybe we'll take some traffic off in 107 and make that a little bit better too. So I do appreciate that, and the residents will as well. Getting back, you said the vehicle compliance. What does the department now do with vehicle compliance? That used to be with Service Nova Scotia. Is that totally with the Department of Transportation now?
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, that's now the responsibility of Department of Transportation and Public Works.
The Honourable Member for Preston.
Now, I know we had some trouble 2 or 3 years ago on a local road we have, and I just want to put it on the record that I'd managed to get a hold of one of the compliance officers, and they were extremely good to deal with, and they showed up as quickly as they could. They corrected the problem, and indeed the residents were very, very happy with the service they received from the compliance officers, and I just want to pass that along and put that on the record. It's a tough job when you're trying to catch people that are tearing the roads to pieces when the roads are closed, and in this case some residents complained, and I passed it on, and it was looked after, I would say, in a very positive way. So that if you could pass it on to your director that looks after that, I'd appreciate it. On the vehicle compliance now, how many officers do you have in the field, and have you got any intentions of increasing the number of officers and the number of vehicles on the road for truck inspections, particularly heavy trucks, because they're on the road sometimes. I've seen them on closed roads, and the spring of the year in particular, in other times than they acted on occasion, and they really beat our roads up bad, and it makes it difficult for us to maintain the roads, and the money you're putting in roads is wasted if they're being destroyed by big trucks.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Public Works.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the Honourable Member for his compliment to the compliance officer involved in the incident to which you referenced, and I don't have to pass his comments on because Mr. Fitzner is in the gallery and heard your comments, and he appreciates them very much. Now, with respect to the number of compliance officers that we have in the province 5 scale houses, and they're located at Amherst, inbound and outbound. There's one at Kelly Lake, another at Enfield. Of course, one is outbound 102 traffic and one is inbound 102 traffic, and we have one at Alls Cove located at the Causeway. And we have 4 approximately compliance officers at each of these locations. That would be 20. We have 13 mobile vehicle compliance officers who you might see their trucks as they move around the province. We have 4 motor vehicle inspectors and 3 supervisors. And we've recently just hired 8 additional compliance officers. And the honourable member asked if we had plans to hire more, then just to let him know that we have just hired 8 additional. Not certain if you heard that or not, but anyway. They do 25,000 vehicle checks per annum, and 3,600 commercial vehicle safety alliance inspections are conducted annually by this branch.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And just on that subject, I had the opportunity just to arrive, and I thought I'd take the opportunity just for a couple of minutes to raise some concerns, in fact, with the Alls Cove way station that's there.